In episode 27, Causes, Triggers, and Early Symptoms, we explore the anatomy of a risk event, how it starts, evolves, and becomes visible. Every disruption has a story, beginning long before consequences appear. Understanding that story allows organizations to detect trouble early and respond with precision instead of panic. This episode focuses on the discipline of mapping what drives risk from root cause to first signal. By studying the anatomy beneath the event, we turn reactive management into proactive vigilance. Clarity about how and when risks emerge is the key to seeing them before they demand attention.
The first distinction to grasp is between root causes and conditions. Root causes are fundamental drivers, underlying flaws in design, process, or decision-making. Conditions are environmental factors that make those causes more likely to produce harm. For example, inadequate training might be a root cause of operational errors, while high workload conditions amplify the likelihood of that error occurring. Separating these layers helps teams treat prevention and mitigation differently. Root causes require structural fixes, while conditions call for controls that regulate exposure. Mixing the two obscures where intervention truly matters.
Triggers are the first observable signals that a risk may be materializing. They are not the event itself, but the moment something shifts from possibility to warning. A delayed shipment, a drop in system performance, or a sudden personnel change can all serve as triggers depending on context. Defining them clearly allows for objective monitoring rather than intuition alone. Each trigger should be framed as an observable, measurable change, something anyone could confirm without debate. When triggers are explicit, risk awareness becomes distributed. Everyone knows what to watch for and when to act. Mapping precursors to detection methods translates theory into surveillance. For every known trigger, ask, how would we notice this? Sometimes it is through automated alerts, other times through routine inspection or stakeholder feedback. This mapping closes the gap between recognition and response. A trigger that cannot be detected might as well not exist. Effective risk leaders design detection pathways for each significant precursor, ensuring that signals flow to the right eyes at the right time. The mapping process also reveals sensor gaps, areas where visibility must improve to prevent blind spots. Leading indicators are the heart of early warning. While lagging indicators confirm that a risk has already occurred, leading ones show shifts that predict emerging trouble. A rising defect rate, for instance, may precede customer complaints. Monitoring employee turnover might foreshadow project delivery risk. Leading indicators transform management from autopsy to diagnosis. Building them requires imagination and data literacy, blending statistical awareness with contextual understanding. The earlier a system can perceive deviation, the more options exist for correction before damage accumulates. Early sight is the currency of risk control. Symptoms are the visible manifestations of deeper mechanisms. They tell us something is wrong, but not why. Relating symptoms to potential failure modes allows faster root cause tracing. If a network slows, the failure mode could be bandwidth congestion, hardware degradation, or software misconfiguration. Linking each symptom to possible underlying patterns shortens investigation time when issues arise. This structured thinking helps avoid superficial fixes, patching the symptom without resolving its source. Risk maturity means responding to signals not with reaction, but with disciplined diagnosis guided by known causal relationships. Every trigger should have an associated escalation threshold. This defines when a signal moves from observation to required action. Thresholds can be quantitative, like error rate exceeding 5%, or qualitative, such as stakeholder withdrawal or repeated missed milestones. Clear thresholds prevent paralysis from ambiguity. Without them, teams debate whether a problem is serious enough to act, wasting precious time. Documenting thresholds aligns judgment across stakeholders and creates predictable decision flow. Escalation is not panic, it is disciplined readiness to engage resources before situations deteriorate. The Ishikawa, or fishbone diagram, remains one of the most valuable conceptual tools for identifying cause relationships, but it works best as a mental model rather than a decorative chart. The goal is to think in categories: people, process, equipment, materials, environment, and management, not to draw elaborate visuals. Using this framework mentally keeps attention on relationships instead of aesthetics.
Facilitators can walk through these categories conversationally, prompting insights across domains. This approach integrates cause analysis naturally into dialogue, preserving energy and focus while maintaining rigor. Validation of causal chains should involve subject experts who understand the system's internal logic. Outsiders may identify patterns, but insiders can confirm whether those patterns reflect reality. For example, an engineer can explain whether a temperature spike truly precedes equipment failure or if it is merely correlated. This validation protects against false confidence and ensures interventions target the right variables. Expert review also builds shared ownership of monitoring. Those who know the signals best help define how they are tracked. Collaboration turns theoretical linkages into operational intelligence. Single-cause explanations are seductive but dangerous. Most failures result from combinations of factors interacting under pressure. Simplifying complex dynamics into one convenient cause may comfort audiences but weakens prevention. Skilled analysts look for convergence, where multiple small weaknesses align to create vulnerability. Recognizing interplay between human error, process gap, and timing nuance yields a fuller picture of risk reality. Oversimplification blinds organizations to system behavior. A culture that tolerates complexity and explanation tends to detect and control issues sooner because it sees beyond neat stories to messy truth. Uncertainty is unavoidable in causal mapping, so it must be documented explicitly. Teams should record how confident they are in each assumed relationship and note where evidence remains thin. This practice prevents overconfidence and guides where further observation or testing is needed. For instance, moderate confidence, historical correlation observed but not consistently validated, is more useful than silence. Causal confidence levels turn analysis into a living document, one that improves with feedback rather than pretending to be perfect from the start. Transparency about doubt is a sign of analytical strength, not weakness. Aligning monitoring systems with the established trigger library ensures that early warnings translate into action. Too often, data collection continues without clear linkage to risks. Each trigger identified should correspond to a measurable signal in dashboards, inspection routines, or automated alerts. The library becomes a bridge between conceptual analysis and real-world instrumentation. When alignment is tight, organizations avoid duplication and confusion. Analysts, operators, and decision-makers all read from the same map, turning abstract risk concepts into operational vigilance that runs quietly in the background of daily work. After any incident or near miss, reviewing trigger efficacy sharpens learning. Did the early signals appear? Were they recognized? Did escalation happen in time? An honest review may reveal triggers that failed to activate or were too vague to prompt response. Refining them after each event turns hindsight into foresight. This continuous improvement cycle keeps the trigger library relevant as systems and contexts evolve. In effect, every incident becomes a calibration exercise, improving the organization's collective sensitivity to early signs of trouble. Vigilance begins with clarity. When teams understand the chain from causes to triggers to symptoms, they perceive risk not as chaos but as patterned behavior. They stop treating surprises as unavoidable and start seeing them as detectable. The discipline of tracing and validating causal pathways builds foresight muscle, helping organizations notice the faint tremors before the quake. Risk management, at its best, is not reactive heroism, but quiet anticipation. The more precisely we understand how risk events are born, the sooner we can prevent them from growing. Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit BareMetalCyber.com.